Hello, everyone. Welcome to the episode number 12 of the IT Mythbusters. Thank you so much for joining us today. For people who are joining us for the first time about IT Mythbusters, I have my co-host, Mike Fulton, and I look at the latest and greatest topic that is coming in the industry, in our conversations, and try to identify whether this is true, there are enough amount of meat and fact to validate that, or it's just a myth that we can bust around. And we've had a lot of fun in the last 11 episodes, and I believe that this is a good asset check. And Mike, to be fair, a lot of people are looking forward to our episodes because they want to know what's the next big thing that these folks are coming up with that we need to be aware of. So welcome back again, and I hope you're doing well. And what's your take for today on the topic that we're going to discuss?
It's a pleasure to be back with you, Suresh. Thanks for having me. And today, I was thinking that it's only appropriate that we spend a little bit of time talking about ChatGPT. And is ChatGPT going to take over the world and replace humans? And I think this is particularly relevant. We're recording this episode on March 31st. For all of the old fogies like Suresh and myself, the Terminator movie came out a number of years ago.
Right.
And the Terminator movie predicted that Skynet was going to go sentient March 29th, 2023.
Wow.
And so we're asking that question with ChatGPT. Are we on the verge of ChatGPT turning into Skynet?
That's a great way to put this into perspective. So I want to kind of start my conversation. When I look at LinkedIn and I look at some of those stuff, they started with the earlier version of ChatGPT, the AI component, now Google coming up with another aspect. Now, my biggest kind of a thought process is, are we kind of becoming a more hype towards ChatGPT around these things like the miracle would happen from 2023? We're kind of selling over on ChatGPT and its intelligence. People have been just attempting to take exams and finding out whether ChatGPT does a great job to crack exams. And for me, I think there's a couple of things that makes me feel little nervous. Number one, are we going to lose that human touch that we have always focused on in terms of relationship building, bringing that level of empathy that we worked with teams and collaborative, basically being cross-functional and having a sense of mutual respect. But also, are we going to kill originality? Are we going to kill creativity? Are we going to be looking at a robot dictating terms of how we want to do it? Are we kind of too far-fetched for our aspirations towards ChatGPT, or are we kind of getting carried away? Because there's so much of reality that happens today, which can still run. I'm thinking there's a little bit of craze towards ChatGPT because that's a new shiny toy in the market, and people will want to get leveraging of that. But I think we have let this even without ChatGPT for so long. And why is there urge to move towards ChatGPT? And what is it going to change from a dimension of for business, for corporates, for IT on the whole? So I don't get to understand why people are so obsessed with ChatGPT, because I have my own reservations of how this is turning this out to be part. But I'll reserve my comments to hear from you of your thoughts about this whole ChatGPT version.
Well, for me, I think we are on the precipice of a new wave of computing.
Right.
I think ChatGPT is going to be just as impactful, if not more impactful, than the introduction of the personal computer.
Right.
Than the introduction of the mobile phone.
Right.
I believe that it is fundamentally game-changing. And yes, it's very much early on in its infancy.
Right.
But the incredible power, the incredible time savings that it offers, the incredible opportunity to tap into the collective knowledge of the world,
right,
in unique and interesting ways, is going to change the game.
right.
Now, to your point, I believe, and I've heard many say this much more eloquently than I, that ChatGPT is not going to replace humans.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to augment humans.
Right.
Where it's going to really be impactful is when a human is coming alongside and using it to take the conversation to the next level, to drive productivity. But
right.
To your point, with where it's at today and where I can foresee it being for the foreseeable future, ChatGPT is not going to create anything that's net new.
Right.
It's not going to invent the next new thing.
Right.
What it's going to do is it's going to be able to leverage, regurgitate information that you and I might know is out there, but might have a hard time finding. Right. And for me, where I don't know how much you've played with it. The use cases that I have seen it be most impactful for me on my day-to-day work so far is when I am staring at a blank sheet of paper,
right,
and trying to create something from scratch.
Right.
I can go out to a ChatGPT. GPT. I said right. They need a better name.
Right.
But I can go out and I can put a few prompts in, and I can get a starting point.
Sure.
I can get me a place to get started. And one of the things throughout my career that I have found to be a really useful skill set is that ability to create the first draft.
Sure.
To be able to put something in front of people for them to react to. It's really easy to look at something and figure out what's wrong.
Sure.
It's a lot harder to look at a blank piece of paper and figure out how to get started. Yeah. And that to me is where I think ChatGPT is going to really change the game.
And you're right in terms of, if you look at looking at preparing a document, and traditionally we have done Googling and seeing what it is, but then the authenticity of that source is we need to do a trial and error to pick up those things that will be more closest to what you want to develop. Whereas ChatGPT, with the level of data that it could exploit and kind of explore to find out something fine-tuning. And if you look at the same question that you ask with ChatGPT, it gives you multiple responses. So it gets better with over a period of time as you feed some of those information. It's kind of becoming much more helping. So definitely that would enhance the productivity of the thing. But I'm worried that, is there a delineation, Mike, to say where you should use ChatGPT or not? I'm just giving an example. A school-going child is going to give the assignment to ChatGPT, and they're going to pick up some of those things and provide it as a deliverable to the school. Now, where is the school going to validate whether this was a genuine work done by a school student or something for that? So it's going to be very tough to look at the authenticity of what it is getting done. Because would you say that, well, let's leverage technology because it gives, or do you think that sometimes for some areas, the creativity aspects of it, you don't want ChatGPT or any aspect of automation engine to drive the whole conversation? So where do you think this should be used and which should not be used? Do we have a kind of a clear set boundaries defined today as we see for the future? Because I'm seeing as a double-edged sword, people can misuse some of those things.
Sure. And I think to answer your question directly, no, there are no clear boundaries today.
Right.
There aren't rules in place. We're trying to figure all this out. But I would say that the education system has been dealing with this problem
Right.
for a really long time,
Right.
right? When I was growing up, I took a math class,
Right.
and in some of my math classes, I could use a calculator.
Right.
In some of my math classes, I couldn't.
Right.
Because my teachers wanted me to learn how to do the math myself without the help. Right. I teach at Ohio State. When students submit assignments to me, I have a way through our systems already to do a plagiarism checker.
Right.
Students have been going on the internet and buying answers to tests or buying thesis papers, book reports, whatever it might be on the internet.
Sure.
They've been doing that for years.
Right.
How is this any different? And I think it's one more thing that we have to figure out: where, when, and where we want people to learn and do stuff on their own. And I think we have to explain to people, to students, why we're drawing the lines.
Sure.
We don't want to just say, this thing is bad. Don't use it. We want to say, we're trying to teach you some of the fundamental basics so that you understand how things work, and we can build on top of that and teach you other things.
Yeah.
Once you have that fundamental knowledge, then leveraging a tool like ChatGPT to accelerate your outcomes can be incredibly powerful. But in the education world, we're trying to help you get that fundamental knowledge so you can better leverage the stuff. Right. That's the message I believe we need to have, the discussion we need to have with students, especially at the high school and college level, where they can understand and process that.
Sure.
That to me is the conversation. I mean, in my class, I teach at Ohio State, the last class that students take before they graduate and go into the workforce. Right. And I say at the very start of class, I'm going to treat you like you were one of my employees. Right. And so I actually don't limit my students on the resources that they have available to them to use when they take a quiz, when they write a book report, when they do a test. I actually want them to figure out ways to do that effectively. I want them to leverage all of their resources. I to be honest, I have yet to see any of my students get together in a team to write one of the book reports. I would love to see it. I have never said they couldn't. In a work setting, I absolutely would hope you would get help from your teammates at the office when you needed it to get the job done. At some point, one of my students is going to realize that they're going to get a group together. They're going to make their life a whole lot easier by working on their book reports together. But they aren't doing that yet. But that's part of the learning process. We have to understand when we're trying to learn and grow and when we're trying to deliver an output. ChatGPT allows us to deliver outputs much, much faster.
And it's true that part of it. So one of the things is all about technology is good. It's how you utilize it and leverage it. But also do not be so obsessed about finding everything about it. It's like instant gratification. So my opinion about the whole ChatGPT is do some homework, do some work and see how it moves rather than just going and saying, hey, I want this one. Because then what happens is your brain starts to fall a prey towards, okay, there's something called ChatGPT which will drive the conversation. I still think I'm an old school guy to kind of think about, let's do something which you think is probably a good starting point, but then go there so that you're not just being carried away from this one. Because a lot of these aspects also comes from your own personal experience. So you contextualize it much more towards the dimension, which I think contextualization is a very different ballgame that ChatGPT might not even understand provided that they don't understand the whole flavor of how you have gone and what kind of company you work, what kind of culture you do that. So there's always a merit to see how we can be a better version of ourselves and then see how we can leverage it, isn't it?
Absolutely agree. Absolutely agree. I don't think ChatGPT is going to take over the world anytime soon.
Sure.
I don't think AI has become sentient, but I do think it is going to allow us to step change the productivity
right.
of our organizations, both our IT organizations and our broader corporations as a whole.
Right.
If we think very critically about how it can be effectively used.
Sure. So what that resonates to be that saying that ChatGPT is definitely not going to replace humans. We'll all have jobs, but use this and leverage this to improve productivity, both in your professional and personal life. Can we say that?
I think that is a fair way to state it. Very well said.
Awesome. So that's another myth busted today at the episode number 12, because everybody is looking at ChatGPT. We hope that you leverage technology to the use, but remember, humans are far more superior in terms of not just the intellect, but also the way that they can empathize with people and make a difference. At the end of the day, it's not just about productivity. It's not about moving faster, but actually making an impact. Remember, each and every human being has got a far more significance in this earth because they are here to serve someone. Either serve your family, serve your organization, serve your people. But I think we have a far more purpose. So do not forget the purpose of being and just use ChatGPT as an enabler, as an accelerator, like what Mike said. But remember, you are far more a wonderful species than anything else that will come in future. So with that, we will wrap this up for our episode number 12. I hope you loved this session with Mike and Sir. We had a great blast, and Mike, always a pleasure talking with you.
Always a pleasure, Suresh.
To do that. And we hope to see you in our next episode of IT Mythbusters. So keep watching and post on your comments for listening to the other hot topics in the coming episodes. Thank you so much.